Guys, another day has gone by, and I want to get into just fixing the last little bits and pieces that this thing needs to get done, which I want to chase the wiring and lighting is probably my next avenue to go. So more than likely, as far as the taillight is concerned in the low beam of the headlight, I want to say it's going to be the bulbs. So I'm going to open them up and take the bulbs out and check them. If not, we can start backfeeding and looking for what the cause is behind them. But I figure we'll go with the easiest first, and those are probably going to be the easiest. So I got both bulbs out of there, pretty much just as I figured is what the issue is. Meter is set on ohms. Ohms is the, I'm trying to think of a layman's term to try to go put it. It is the completion of a path. So say if you have a piece of, we'll just use a piece of wire. A piece of wire, you test on one side of the wire, you test on the other side of the wire. Basically there's no resistance in that wire. The longer that wire gets, or thinner that wire gets, it gets a slight bit of resistance, and ohms is a way of looking at how much resistance you have. The less of a number, like if you have 1 ohm resistance, you have very low resistance. It's very, almost everything that's coming in one side is coming out the other side. The higher the number, the more resistance you have, to the point where it gets infinite. And if once you hit an infinite number, then nothing is making it through the wire. I don't know if that's a great analogy or not, but so what we are set up on this meter is auto ranging on this one. We're on ohms, and if I disconnect the wire, this is going to go to 0 or overload. There's nothing. It's on. It went all the way to the top of the scale, meg. You know, if I crimp on there, basically have no resistance. In other words, all the power that's coming in this wire going through that bulb and coming out of that wire is a completed circuit. So you know that filament of that bulb is good. Sometimes you get a couple of ohms resistance just because of the little filament that's inside there, but that one tests good. But if you go to this circuit, you see it just stays infinite. You could swap them around too, you know, it's if you wanted to see between, say, these two. I am pretty sure that this is I think the green's going to be the ground. Hold on a second. And the colors of these don't matter when you're doing ohms. There's no polarity to it. So let's still go between green and white, which we haven't done. And you notice there's an open there too. So you should have 2 circuits that are showing a high beam and a low beam, both having completed circuit. That is no good. Through a taillight bulb, the outside of the shell is the ground, and the 2 tits in the middle are the inputs. You see that that one's good. You see that that one is open. So you know one of the circuits are bad in that bulb. And if you physically look at the bulb too, internally, I'm not sure if it's going to show, but inside the bulb, now you're not going to be able to see it, is the filament. You can see by eye is physically broken too. So it just needs 2 bulbs to fix those items. So what are the chances are that that one might be any good? Let's see if this one's any good. I think we got a dead one there too. Yeah, only one good circuit. So the taillight bulb I was able to get local. The headlight bulb I had to order on eBay, and of course I had to pay out the you know what for that. So that was like 39 bucks delivered. The taillight bulb was $1. So I got that in. We can kind of continue with the wiring, I guess, and getting everything worked. And when the new headlight bulb comes, I'll just change that out, and everything else can be buttoned up. So the bike should have to be running for the lights to come on. I'm going to fire it up, and we'll see what does and doesn't work. See if the taillight works, and set the brake lights up. Again, we still have those ripped out wires to deal with. I guess we're doing a cold start. One of those bulbs should be good. I have nothing. There goes the headlight. I should have taillight also, and I don't. See if I got brake light. I'm gonna pull the brake light switch. Nah. And it was working before, so I got something wrong. Unless the bezel has to be on, but I doubt it. I'm gonna fire it back up. I'm gonna probe these three for power. One should be ground and the other two should be power. Power on that one. I got power on that one. I think that's probably supposed to be ground. Not sure. I don't think that would be ground. Take the bulb out. That one has power. Now it decided to work. Let's see if the brake light will work. Good. I don't know why. I'm not sure if you can be able to see it, but the culprit is, this is the little ground lug. See the rust on the end of it? Here's your problem. I'll go clean that up, put a little bit of dielectric on it. Should get rid of that intermittent issue. So the key doesn't need to be on for the taillight. So it works. Taillight works with the key on. Hit the brakes. Brake light works. And then we got two wires sticking out of the up here. If I cross those, the brake light works too. So we got to get those guys reconnected to that switch. And I can't see a thing right now. So I put my magnifiers on my eyeballs and we can go see what's inside of there. Maybe we can solder something on or put tits on it. I'm not sure yet. Alright, so went in and that's what I found is those two little guys just got ripped out of those two little guys. So if we make them so they are no longer ripped apart and resoldered, I think we should be good. So I'm going to put some shrink wrap tubing on both of these guys, tin them, solder them, get them back together, see if we can slide the shrink wrap tubing over it, and then there's a, I probably should even do a bigger piece of shrink wrap on here to go slide over the whole thing one more time and try to protect it from banging on any of this stuff. The switch does work. I kind of held them together. The light is on, and push the button. It's just a button that the lever hits. So that's off. That's on the brake light switch, and that does still work. So if we hook that up, we should be good. So it turned into surgery. It's been about an hour since I last picked up the camera, and I went out back. So what happened was the switch, I got the two wires soldered on, got it to work, but as soon as I went to go touch the switch, the wires pulled right out of the switch itself, and so the switch was no good. So they're like a little tiny cartridge. There's not much to them. So I went looking to see if I had anything else out back, and I had one that was similar, and it was in that hole right there. But you can notice the depth of that body is probably significantly more than what's in that body. But the switch fit in there, and you can see how far it's protruding out. Well, that switch also was busted too, and at that point I was ready to throw in the towel. But I ended up actually dissecting and taking the switch apart to the two little brass fingers that are on it, and up top here I soldered two little wires onto those, reassembled it, slid everything back together in the switch, had two wires coming out, and then finally soldered those together, shrink tubed them, put another piece of shrink tubing over them, and then another piece of shrink tubing that goes from the switch all the way to here. And now we have a brake light switch that works from there. And while I was at it, in the back I found a lever that would, it's close, it's off a little as far as how the aluminum kind of spreads across, but this is good on the inside as far as where the cable alignment is. Then I took my cable oiler and filled up the cable with oil too until it came out the bottom, so it's lubricated. So I think, I'm not sure if this boot was meant to have that wire tucked inside it, because it kind of looks like it, but I tried feeding it up and through there and it just wasn't happening, not easily anyway. So I think what I'm going to do is just notch the back of the boot so it can have slide over that cable, and then we'll just clip it back together over the bolt. It should be fine. And then I'll probably need little tie wraps or something, try to support this so it's not flopping around and going to lose either of these connections, So the way I look at it now, it probably was meant to feed through there, but I was jamming screwdrivers in there trying to open it, trying to poke it through, and plus it's like everything's sticking up at it this way as you're trying to pull the cable through. You're trying to tuck everything in through, so I just got annoyed, said screw it. That was an hour to fix that problem right there alone. So I think we're good. Slice that boot back, get that on there, and all our lights should be all set. Actually, I'm probably going to pop the ones from out of the gauge. I got a bunch of those, and see if we can get the neutral light working and then the high beam light to work. We'll look at them both, see if the bulbs are good. And I don't know if this is backlit or not too. There's wires going up into it, so I would say yeah, it's probably got a bulb in the back of that. So I'm going to maybe pop those apart and I'll look at them, polish the lenses up, I don't know. So waiting on the bulb. I ordered that. That should be early next week. And the reason why I'm trying to chase all this stuff is I have to get a sticker, and because I'm going to register it on the road, so everything's got to work. I had to go change the grip because sometimes they won't pass you if the nub is broken off, because if you ever fell, they're afraid that this would stab into you. So that's why the balls are on the end of it. If you get into a wreck or hit somebody else or whatever, that this, you don't get impaled like into you, and that's what was on there. So that $5 box paid off. And when it came from the swap meet, again, and came with, I got the switch out of it and the lever out of it, and a couple on the other bikes too. Alright, I'm yammering. I'll shut you off when I'll shut you off. I'll turn you back on when we're on to something else. Lights. That's what I was doing. So I just popped the gauge out of the way. I want to kind of clean it up a little bit, and then I figure I'll take all three bulbs out too, and I'll test each bulb in the meter and see if the filament still registers good, and then I'll just clean all the sockets up. I'm just gonna, it doesn't need it now, it's gonna need it in the near future, so I'll do that one, and again the one that we still have in there. I also put some light oil up inside the cable drive before that starts making the goosing noise going down the road. Yeah, 2 of the 3 of those were no good, so I put 3 new ones in on there, and I go to the last one is the high beam, and it's the light for the lens and neutral. And if I go back to run a light, then you'll see the dash light will come on. So, still got to do that one though. switches. That's better. Yeah. Neutral lights on. Let's see the last one there. High beam light. Yeah. And then 2 illuminators for nighttime. Replace 45-year-old bulbs with 55-year-old bulbs. They're new old stock. Let's see if they hold up to the vibration. Guy's calling me a hoarder. Yeah, the hoard pays. And watch. I'll even throw the old ones away. Onto the tank. Poor tank. Lived a rough life. All sealed up on the inside. Some blistering here. Big blowout in the center of it. It's a gas tank patch kit that has like a fiberglass mat and then a two-part epoxy that you put over it. So I did that first, and then I creamed the inside of the tank. He had a pinhole up here, but you can kind of plug with the stuff and tape it, and that's what was done here. So it's got a good build-up on one side and good build-up on this side. It wasn't that big, it was just a little jobber. Gotta clean this up. I gotta clean that up. So in other words, this tank came back on a wing and a prayer. Let's see, we'll work with what you get. So that's where our fuel setup is going to be. We're going to have to drill through right there so that it can pop up. But we can make noise. Noise warning. So clean that stuff up. I warn you. Took a little bit of a hit right there, huh? Oh, the cap goes on. So as I said, I'm probably going to have to get a drill. I'm going to drill that out, and I want to get the pet down and look side by side, make sure I need to do what I need to do. So that's her, and that's got to go in like that. A bolt goes through the bowl, in through it, and this whole well has to get cleaned out for that guy to fit in. And that's reserve, and that's regular. So this is on the bottom of the tank. You could run to reserve, regular, you should stay it the other way around. This is where you'll run out of fuel regular, and then you turn the pet to reserve, and then you draw from here. So that's how much fuel you have in the bottom of the tank on reserve. Okay. Let's make a hole. Going in sloppy. You know what I mean. Goes in like a router. Feels like it's still a little tight around that window. Just gotta open that a little more. It's got it right there. Yep, that's good. That'll work. Alright, finish prepping and cleaning up all this stuff, and I gotta remember where the bolt went. So, it would have been so nice if they included the screw that would go down the center of that, because it has to be like a Phillips head. That's the well it has to drop into. So I don't have one of those. I have something with a Phillips head on it, but it's also got the wrench head on the outside of it. So we are going to try and do a quick and dirty and grind it down to a usable size. Did I lose it? Alright, I lost one. Let's try it with a longer one. I'll try that, see how it looks. Final assembly's putting up a little bit of a fight. So there's the screw in there. On the bottom side of it, you don't need that, do you? On the bottom side of it, the oval that was there where the two tubes were going down, the aluminum embossing around that I had to take away from the back side of it, because on this casting, the distance between where that is and where the bolt hole is different on the knockoff part than the real one. So let's just say I put up a fight, but it's all on there. It looks like it's got a decent seal going around. So we put gas in it. It's anybody's game, but we'll give it the try anyway. So I'm going to assemble all the bowl, get that put back on there, see if we can get the tank on there, some gas line on there, and turn it on. So for the gas cap and the where I cleaned it up with the wire wheel, I actually just took some marine grease because I had it right over there and rubbed it on the surfaces so they don't rust anymore. And the cork gasket is still there, but it's, you know, it's pretty it's 45 years old, put it that way. And then I just rubbed some on the top up there, and we're gonna fly with that for a while. Tightens all the way down, but who knows whether it's gonna leak or not. And at that point, I'll chase another one or try getting another gasket or whatnot. But we're rolling with that right now. So of course I didn't have seat grommets either. So I took some shock bushings and threw in my hoard. I just took a little off the top and the bottom if it's nice and snug in the valley that they drop into. And then I stole this guy off the other bike because this one was ripped. So I'm going to soap them up a little bit, put them on, and that should do it. I just popped my fuel line on. It's full of fuel. And I got about that much gas in it right now. I don't see anything weeping out anywhere. I kind of want to go take my tank and fill it up with 91 octane, my gas, my handheld, you know, jug. I don't want to put 87 back in it, but that looks like it's going to do the trick. That should be off, on, in reserve. We'll be okay. I'm not going to run a fuel filter in it. There's a screen inside of here, and we talked about before trying to run a fuel filter when you have that level. When the levels are so close together, you have very low fuel pressure, and it can starve for fuel. So I'm going to leave that just like it is. So I'm going to get a toolkit together, get that back in there, and get the covers on. we got a plate on it. Let's go for a ride. Got a ride. A little bit of a windy road. So we're back in the garage. Did about 10 miles or so. Seemed pretty good. A couple of things showed up, and I expected to see something here and there. One is I know the gas tank seal is no good, and you can see it wanting to piss out a little bit. So that we're going to have to get a new one ordered. The exhaust, I don't know if you can hear it on the ride, tried to get a little on the loud side. I don't know if the stud pulled. I bet you the stud pulled. Or maybe the nut just backed off. I have to double nut that right there. And I started getting an exhaust leak. Did I lose one of the keepers? Hope not. get a wrench on that, tighten that down, see if that stud pulls out, or just see if it just backed off a little. What else was it? Oh, and when you're shifting through the gears, upshifting, no problem. Downshifting once in a while. When you downshift it, you kind of have to let it come up a little bit and then downshift. So I have a feeling there's still an issue with the alignment of those two springs, the ones from the previous videos. But I'm going to run it for a little while and see what kind of happens. At some point, when I go to change the oil, which is going to be fairly soon, what I'm going to do is just take this cover back off, and that allows me access to that. Fortunately, that's not that big of a deal to get to. But as far as the engine and everything, it seems like it runs pretty good. Nothing's pissing out of the bottom of the gas tank, the carburetor, oil underneath. So with that, I'm pretty happy with it. And one of the YouTubers I just checked the mail is mailing me some decals for the 125 for the side covers. And I think we should be really good to rock and roll. I'm liking the bike a lot, and hopefully it will treat me well. So with that, guys, I think we're going to end this one right here. I want to thank all you guys for following me on the journey on this one. We'll be starting another one up pretty soon, another project that is. And I'll meet you on that one. So till then, take care. And unfortunately, it was the stud that pulled out. So this was not a proper stud. That was a bolt that was cut down, actually a piece of threaded rod that I cut down. And the tap I had was not a bottoming tap. So it only went and cut a couple of threads. So I am going to need to get both of the correct ones for that. A bottoming tap so I can cut threads all the way into where it stops, and also a proper stud. Should take care of that. Hey, it was easy. Everybody would do it, right? Fixed. Now has a standard bolt in it. Wait a minute. I nicked it with the grinder. Now it's fixed. Yeah, so I just I had a bottoming tap of standard tap, not metric. So, and it's a little bit larger. So that was what got run in there, and then I ran an Allen headed bolt in there, then I cut the head of the bolts off and have a nut on there.